through my inexperience, wherever it came to be 5-sack concrete, I said, make it 6. And it's built like the proverbial you know what. I think that building will stand longer than any other building in downtown.
In 1969, Charles Mapes Jr. decided to expand his hotel casino business to keep up with the competition. Mapes opened the Money Tree Casino downtown, and it didn't take long for the wisdom of that judgment to come into question.
And the Money Tree became a drain on the Mapes' finances because it was not a successful club. And he had put the title to the Mapes up as security for the loan to build the Money Tree. And when they called the note, First Interstate Bank, might have been First National Bank then, took both properties. And subsequently, they ran them totally into the ground.
But Charles Mapes did not give up his dream quietly.
Charles Mapes never closed the Mapes Hotel. He had been forcibly evicted, furniture and all, 18 months prior to it closing. So the real culprit, if you want to call it, that was the bank.
I always kid people and say I'm the guy that helped close the Mapes Hotel down.
From the sky room of the Mapes Hotel in downtown Reno, it's a sophisticated swing of Freddie Nagel.
In its final months of life, the Mapes was closed except for weekends.
In the 80s, after Charles Mapes had lost the hotel and another group came in to take it over, we were doing a big band remote every Saturday night with Freddie Nagel and his orchestra. Freddie was a very popular dance band of the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So we did a Saturday night dance party, and we fed it. We did it live on radio and fed it to several stations in what we considered the marketing areas for Reno. But that was the last thing that happened at the Mapes, and then, you know, after 6 months of that, the Mapes closed down, so I always say, hey, I helped close the Mapes down. Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know.
Once again, good evening and welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Bob Carroll.
And so, the place that had been the site of so many firsts, the scene of so much celebrity and celebration, was now closed, completely, exactly 35 years from the day it opened. Over the next 2 decades, various groups had various ideas about renovating the Mapes, but none ever came to fruition. Then began the battle between those who wanted to save it and those who thought the Mapes should be torn down.
You always hear the argument, why haven't the private sector saved it if it was worth saving in the last 18 years? I think you can also say the reverse is true. Why hasn't the private sector knocked it down over the last 18 years if it was economically feasible? The city will have spent almost $8 million to purchase and level that site. And the best they can hope to sell it for will be between $2 and $2.5 million for a loss of $6.5 million. That just doesn't make good economic sense.
Don Jepson is an associate architect with Washoe County who has worked on 4 different proposals to renovate the Mapes. In 1996, the city of Reno bought the vacant building for $4 million and spent a couple of years working with another developer on renovation plans, only to have that company pull out of the deal, stating it was economically unfeasible. In 1999, the City Council voted to tear down the Mapes, and demolition work began in October of that year. It was decided the Mapes should be imploded on January 30th, 2000. 250 pounds of explosives would be used to make the building cave in upon itself.
Save the Mapes! Save the Mapes! Save the
Mapes supporters protested outside the hotel and in court before finally giving up the legal battle in mid-January.
I guess what irritates me most, if you look at the other buildings being built or remodeled, the Holiday, some of the buildings downtown like the old Woolworths building, the AT&T building, the new Pavilion, which is a metal building downtown, all those have no architectural details or significance. I mean, they're just kind of blah, plain buildings. The Mapes is just really architecturally significant and historically significant.
And that's what happened to history about 20 minutes ago. At 8 o'clock, the Mapes Hotel was imploded. Former hotel public relations director Harry Spencer joins us one more time with a final thought on what happened this morning. Harry?
It's a little bit like 1954. I was a newspaper man, and I had an assignment to cover the first and only double execution at the Nevada State Prison. Watched 2 men die by cyanide pills, and same feeling here, a sick feeling in your stomach to see something like this happen.
Some of the supporters are getting together downriver, or actually upriver.
They're holding a wake at Barbara Bennett Park. Anyone that would like to come down is invited. And Gary Kozel from the National Trust in Washington, D.C. will be running that show. And this is the beginning, I guess, of a much bigger story, because the National Trust is going to include the Mapes in all their literature as the only building that was named by them that has ever been demolished. And in passing, the Mapes may save other buildings. I guess that's a positive.
Okay.
But, shortly before he died, Charles Mapes told me it'll be a cold day in hell when they blow up the Mapes Hotel, and he was half right.
It was chilly up here this morning.
It's cold up here.
All right, Harry Spencer, we'll let you go to the wake down at Barbara Bennett Park. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Greg.